All right, here we go. It is Monday at noon. Haven't done a true crime show. I'm Otis B Dreds. I guess I should let you know that if you can't see that over there. Bobby to Trill.
Being true,
Just being Trill.
as always.
That's what you do, man.
It's debatable.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah,
Being as Trill as you are.
yeah.
Full-time job.
I don't get paid for it though.
You don't get paid.
I get paid.
If you could get paid for being Trill, my goodness, where would you be?
I'd have like 5 or 6 more bucks than I do.
5 or 6 $4. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we got as I mentioned in the description, we got kind of a laid back show. Just got a message. Our guest, Jeff Ignatowski. No relation to Jim Ignatowski from Taxi.
Oh, his name.
It was his name.
Yeah.
Oh. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Jeff has he'll be with us here in about 5 minutes, he said. So I figure, we come on, we talk a little bit. Jeff has he's actually local here, Cincinnati. We're not in Cincinnati, but it is kind of local, only about an hour away.
Pretty close.
Yeah, not far. Not far. He has a card game called Killers. And I was unaware of this until a friend of mine, Mr. John Campbell, alerted me to this. And it's a serial killer card game, but not just serial killers. You can pit serial killers against like Mao or something.
Wow.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of excited to talk about this. It's going to be quite interesting. I don't know, but you know what's even more interesting? You brought up something just before we went live. How come there is no two-headed serial killer? And we went through some of the complications involved. If one of them rats out, you got to be, as I mentioned, balls deep in both heads have to be in line.
It's definitely a ride or die situation. Is I want to take a more lenient sentence. I'm going to snitch on you. So.
Right. How does that work?
She only gets out part-time. Has to get locked back up for the other one's sake.
Some of the things that go through our head.
Yeah, that's why I think we'll never see one.
No.
Well, I don't want to say that. You never know anymore. You might see the first two-headed person serial killer one of these days. Can you describe them? No, they were wearing a mask. But we have no idea what.
Oh my goodness. Chaos Unright, aka potatoes, aka Ben Looney is his new character, the Unrights. Chaos Creations, a good friend of ours. Of mine anyway. I don't even think you know him. I had an extra dose of medicine this morning.
I just got the image in my head though. Like the one person looking around the corner and somebody sees them and the other head popping around the corner. I don't know which one did it, officer.
That's funny.
They're the only people I saw.
I know, because what does the left head control the left arm?
I've always wondered things about a two-headed person like that. Like if they got to go to the restroom, does only one person feel it? And do they tease the other one?
I know.
Like, I'm not letting you go.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna hold it.
I'm just curious. I don't know. I don't know anything about two-headed people other than that's wild.
I don't know anything about two-headed people either. Oh God, if Jeff don't get here soon. Oh man.
Serial killer in a wheelchair. Have we ever had one of those?
I don't
I
think
don't think
so.
so.
And again, we have dark humor. We have mentioned this before,
Yeah.
so we have dark humor. But I don't think that we've had a serial killer in a wheelchair. We're not making fun of people
No,
in the wheelchair with the handicaps.
not at
Uh,
all.
I see Jeff down there. He's getting ready. He's peeking in the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him on here. Let's see what's happening, Jeff.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I see you're not gonna have to stand the whole time like that, are you?
No, I'm trying to figure out these damn earbuds. They're not working the way I need them to. I don't
Oh,
know. That's all right.
that's okay.
Let's see. I would like to make this fucking screen bigger. There we go. There it is. Now I can at least see. All right.
All right, you got the head in the jar there, my friend.
I do. You can all hear me all right, right?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
All right.
The only thing that I'm worried about is on my end because Bobby Two Trill, who is with us, he doesn't have well, he lost his cord to his headphones, so I'm kind
Oh,
of playing it through the speaker, but my mics seem to not pick up, a lot of that background. Hopefully, if it does, let me know in the chat.
yeah.
Uh, Jeff, good day. I mentioned you are a Ohio native like ourselves. You're down in Cincinnati, correct?
I am. Yeah. Where are you
Awesome.
guys at again?
We're in the Dayton area.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, not that far, not that far. Give us a I love the shirt, by the way. Uh the
So
Gacy shirt, Pogo the Clown.
it's funny because I make these. So these are up on my website. I have a whole clothing line too. Uh I
Because who
think
doesn't need more serial killer shirts?
I know,
here you
right?
go. Let me show you these. These are well, maybe. Damn it, I know they're in here. I'll show you these. These are the newest thing.
Oh my oh shut up. Hold on.
Those are
I
my
got I
Manson.
gotta I gotta make this a solo. I was just looking at these online and I showed them to my wife. I was like, I've got to get those. These are like tie laced Vans with little pictures of Charles Manson all over. I have to describe it for Bobby Tutrill over here. Uh, and Helter Skelter right on the front. Those are awesome. And those are over at your store. I completely forgot to grab your links and whatnot. What is the link to the
So
website and everything so
the,
people can check that out?
the easiest way to find it is if you go to Linktree /Killers TCG. That has all of our links on it. That'll get you to the Etsy store, which has all of the clothing in it. It'll get you to our website. Some things that probably need to be taken down that I haven't done yet because you reminded me that the Kickstarter is over, so I got to take that off of there.
Okay. Okay. So I think I mentioned that your campaign was active. So that was a mistake on my part. So the Kickstarter's done then.
Yeah, it ended. I don't know, a few days last Wednesday or
Oh, okay.
Thursday, Wednesday
I'm
or
early
Thursday
to the
last
party.
week. Yeah, it was good. You know, we did really well. I mean, we were 172%. Above what we were asking for. So that's always good. We were just shy of our real big goal to get everything into mass production right off the bat, but we still may be able to do that. We'll see what we can do and try to make it happen anyway.
Awesome. Kid Check the Rhyme has joined us. We also have some Facebookers. John Campbell, who actually is responsible for turning me on to Killers the Card Game. Let's dive right into it. Let everyone know, means people are piling in now. Let's tell everybody what's the premise. Tell us the gameplay? How's it work?
Okay, so Killers the card game is a RPG card game. It's kind of like a cross between D&D and Magic, which are two of my favorite games. And so the basic idea is you get a stable of 5 killers. The goal is to get 10 kills or be the last killer standing. And they are all real killers. This is one of the cards. I just happen to have it here for my show this last week. But they all have little bios on the back, pictures
And
on
who
the
was
front.
that? I didn't catch the name on that one.
Oh, that was Rosemary West.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, her and her husband Fred out there in England, killing a whole bunch of women and their own children. Great story.
Yeah.
They're,
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've looked into Rosemary. Yeah, that is a good one. So
Yeah.
so you're the object, as you said, was to be the last killer standing or get 10 kills, and it is an RPG. So how do you go about? I mean, what are some of the strengths and weaknesses? Like in a D&D, you have special things that certain ones can do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so on each of the cards, there are numbers on the bottom, and they all have a specialty. So either men, women, children, elderly, or ladies of the night, prostitutes, obviously. So that's their specialty. If they are killing within their specialty, they get a +1 for their dice rolls. The 4 numbers that are on there are charisma, brutality, intelligence, and elusiveness. Those are your dice roll modifiers. Just like D&D, if you're going to kick in a door, you're going to roll a strength modifier. Well, in Killers, if you're going to abduct somebody, you're either going to do a charismatic abduction, whereas you lure them to the van with the candy, or you're going to do a brutality abduction, hit them in the head with a pipe and throw them in a trunk. Completely up to you. If you're killing somebody, it's always brutality. If the police are trying to investigate the evidence that you've left behind, it's an intelligence roll. And if the police are trying to apprehend you, it's an elusiveness roll. So those are the 4 numbers. That's how we differentiate the characters, give them their strengths and weaknesses, and try to tailor it to who they were in real life.
Right. Yeah, so like charisma, high charisma, that would go to somebody like a Ted Bundy.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I believe you chimed in on one of our last episodes in the chat, and we were talking about Manson. You remember that, Bobby?
Yeah.
We were talking about Manson, and you said that you said something that was, because we were talking about how it's just absolutely retarded that people link him in as a serial killer, and you actually took that into consideration when making the Manson card. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the Manson card, he has no specialty, so he gets no bonus points for anybody because he didn't kill anybody, and he has no brutality, absolutely 0. Probably the worst card in the game. So like he gets 0 for brutality because he didn't kill anybody. His charisma is high.
I was gonna say, yeah,
he can lure him in. He just can't kill him because he didn't in real life. So yeah, we took that into consideration, putting him in the game, and it's really kind of funny because he does become powerful. We have a Colts expansion. So in the Colts expansion, you have the Manson family, right? So you have Tex Watson is in there. The 3 girls are in there. So if you get all 5 of them together, they become quite powerful, and then they can work off of one another. So yeah, when you're playing the Colts expansion, the Manson family has a whole different meaning. But old Manson by himself, all of his 5'2" and 120 pounds, not so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, right. I know it does make sense. Just the head chilling on the desk. What's his name?
It's Susan.
It's what?
Susan.
Sousa?
Yeah, Susan.
Oh, Susan.
Yeah. I let's look. Yeah, it's a lady. She's got hanging out.
The lipstick now.
Yeah, it's great. It's really funny. I've got a buddy of mine who does. Oh shit! I should have brought it in, but there's a hat that I wear. If you guys look on social media and all this shit, when I'm doing conventions and stuff, I wear this skin hat. It's my homage to Ed Gein and all the crazy shit that he did. And so we've got a face on there. We got a middle finger in the back. We've got some fingers and toes and ears. There's a hand that comes off the side. So it's kind of been my moniker since I've been doing conventions and stuff. And so at one time I was planning on selling those and making them. I actually, underneath my table behind here, I have a couple hats that I've been playing around with to put different things on. And this was actually supposed to be all of the parts for the other hat that I was going to sell. And then I got really lazy in getting it done because I've been nonstop putting out card games for the last 2 years. And so we never got around to it. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with all these piles of skin that I have sitting under the desk? And I was like,
that problem. You just don't hear that very often, dude.
I'm like, what the hell do I do with all this? So I was like, dude, my dad gave me this awesome fucking jar. And I was like, man, for my shows, I've definitely got to put it in the jar, make it look like I have a head in the jar.
No, it's great. That's awesome. So you said 2 years you've been working on this game. How many expansion packs do you have currently that's available for the basic game? What's the basic game come with, and how many expansion packs do you have right now?
So Killers comes with 25 killers, 25 victims, 4 scenario cards. And then it comes with the dice, the tokens, the rule book. So that's the base game. You can play up to 5 people with that. Currently available to the public, we have 4 expansions. We've got Organized Crime, World of Serial Killers, Lady Killers, and Cults. Here really, really soon, once we get the Kickstarter out to everybody who backed it, because I do not believe in releasing shit ahead of time. Like my Kickstarter backers will always get their games first, and then we'll release it to the general public. I know that some companies don't do that, and all the Kickstarter people get pissed. So I don't want to do that. So we'll wait until everything is out, and then we'll put it up on our website and start releasing at different conventions. And we will release our Mass Murderers expansion to the general public. So not out yet, but it's available. Or it will be coming out here real soon. When you play with the expansions, you can play with up to 10 people. Some of the expansions are a little bit different. Some of them are just extra cards, but all of the expansions, you get extra weapon cards in the game that are not in the base game. So you might get like my favorite recently has been the wood chipper, because I had some people that bought the game and they sent me like a review, and they said that, in normal society, it's frowned upon throwing children in the wood chipper, but not in this game. We love it. So, so yeah.
That's great. And you said Mass Murderers. Now, I believe that's not just for serial killers. Can you give us some examples of some mass murderers that would be in that expansion?
So the first one is Hitler. He's in there. So you've got like Hitler, Pol Pot, Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden. Then you go into some bombers like Ted Kaczynski, Andrew Kehoe. And then we get into the school shooters like Eric and Dylan, Adam Lanza, all kinds of people that, when we talk about mass murders, we're talking about somebody who's killed multiple people at one time, whether that's dropping a bomb on them because of war, or whether they went to a school and shot up a bunch of people. Now, the difference with the Mass Murderers expansion, and it actually took me probably about a year to put it out. There were a couple different reasons for that. Number one, our society, there was a lot of mass shootings, and I didn't want to release it right in the middle of all of that. And the other part of that is I needed to figure out a way to craft the game so you were not playing as the mass murderer. So what we did is we put all the mass murderers as victims in the game, and you have to kill them before they kill everybody else. So just like The CIA paid the mafia to go kill the guy down in Cuba. Why can't I think of his name? Fidel Castro.
Castro.
And so we're kind of coming up with the same concept that your serial killers are now your secret agents, and they're going to go down there and take care of these mass murderers before they can kill everybody else. With the mass murderers expansion, we've added a few things to play off conspiracy theories because I think that's a lot of fun. So for the Kickstarter, and for those of you that didn't make it to the Kickstarter, sorry you missed out on this one. It'll eventually come back out in another expansion at some point. But we added the MK Ultra stuff. So Manson, Ted Kaczynski, and what's his name? Whitey Bulger, right? Those three will get special abilities as soon as MK Ultra comes out. We also
Sirhan could have been in there as well.
Who is it?
Sirhan.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, we have all that. We've also got the CIA, and we've got the Supreme Court that we added in there. The Supreme Court can cancel the MK Ultra program. They can also cancel. There's something else that they can cancel. I can't remember what it is right off the top of my head. But then we got really, really fucking political, which I try to stay away from. But it was too enticing to pass up. So we added the Trump card, we added the Sleepy Joe card, and we added the Hillary card. And then we added
Hillary card's dangerous.
Oh, it is. She can't be caught ever. Like nobody can catch her. She can't be imprisoned. That's her special ability. Sleepy Joe, he has to do a dice roll to wake up before he can do anything. Unless there's children out. If there's a child out, he wakes up immediately. So anyway, we try to throw shade to everybody, and Donald Trump, his card, even the other mass murderers can attack him. Like he's not safe from anybody. So
oh man, this is funny. Bobby, you Trill, what do you got, man? He's over there grinning like a possum eating shit.
I'm ready to play.
I know.
So
this is awesome. Man, what goes into making, a freaking card game? I mean, of course, the concept and everything, because I think we've all kind of maybe at one time say, man, that would, I've looked at movies and been like, man, that'd be a cool video game, but a card game. Kid, check the rhyme. 1 2 1 2. Is Bush in there?
He is not. So we allow people when we run our Kickstarters to add a card into the game if they want. I don't think that anybody, I'll have to go back and look at the records. I don't think anybody took us up on that one this time. I kind of expected them to.
Yeah, I would have too.
Because I didn't want to get it. It's funny to say that I put all of these mass murderers from around the world in there, and then to say that I didn't want to get political is kind of crazy. But I didn't want to get American political because I happen to live here in America, and but there are just things out there currently in the news that you just can't pass up. And if you're going to make fun of people and you're going to make it kind of silly and play off of all the conspiracy theories, you got to throw them all in there.
Sure.
So we threw every one of them in there. So, nobody can get mad at us for one or the other. We threw shade at everybody, and you decide what you want to believe or how you want to think. That's up to you. I don't give a shit one way or another. Just have fun, buy the game and play it. We added at the very end, we added the QAnon card and the QAnon shaman. And the very last thing we added was COVID-19 and Dr. Fauci. So the COVID-19 card, when it comes out, it hits everybody and has a dice roll that can kill anybody. And then it immediately goes right back into the draw pile to be drawn again, because you can never get rid of it. When Fauci comes out, the COVID-19 card comes out automatically. So, so yeah, again, we decided a long time ago, and you asked about creating a game, right? So the first thing you have to do to create a game is you have to play games. Like you have to understand what other people have done. Because let's face it, there's not a whole lot new out there. Whether it's writing, whether it's shows, whether it's podcasts, we're all talking about similar things. We're all doing similar things. It's no different in gaming, right? So the ideas are already out there, but what are you going to use? What are you going to freshen up? What are you going to change to meet the needs of the community that you're trying to serve? So for us, I decided that, I was going to play off of my two favorite games, which are D&D and Magic. And I wanted a game that's mechanics could work similar to Magic, but I also wanted something where you could get really into the head of some of these killers. So for me, it was always about awareness, and it's always been about, what can I do to get into that headspace to understand them better? Because I think it's important. We talk about all these podcasts, all these shows that talk about all these killers, but we really learn best when we can step into other people's shoes. And I wanted to give people a safe space to do that and to explore that, so that they can understand and be more aware of how fucked up some people are that live in our society that could be right next door, right? Yeah. It's they're everywhere. It's not like currently we have close to 400 killers in the game, right? Like, and we're not even scratching the surface of people that are out there. So, and I mean, not to mention the ones that haven't been caught. So, it's crazy. And I wanted people to understand that these people look just like the guy next door. And unless you understand them and unless you understand the psychology behind it, you could be caught unaware, because their victims certainly were. So pay attention. So that's really why I did it. It's also what goes into creating a game like that. And then the hardest part, like for creating a game like I did, is crossing over into some really, really treacherous water, right? We live in a society right now that is very cancel culture, right? And so I jumped right into the deep end, and I decided real early on that I wasn't going to pull any punches, because we're dealing with serious subject matter. So, I want it to intentionally be in your face, right? I want people to intentionally have to look at those things, because I think that that's what makes it different. At the same time, I want people to have fun. So, you joke around about some of the things, you have a good time describing your kills and shit like that. But it's still serious, and we need to understand that it's more than just a good time to get together, to play a game, but it's also very educational too. So anyway, that's why I put all the stories on the back.
Nice. What I do want to get into some serial killers, some true crime talk with you. Is there any case, Bobby Trill and myself have been talking a lot about cases that are just recently been solved, or at least somebody in custody? The Delphi murders, for example. What was the school? The Idaho.
Idaho.
It's four of them that were murdered. So what is there any case in particular that you have looked at recently, or anything that comes to your mind?
So recently there's a bunch of stuff that I think is fascinating. Some of it not necessarily serial killers, but definitely in the news right now.
Sure.
I thought that the whole Titanic Ocean Gate thing was fascinating. It's interesting to see what's going to shake out there in the end. I thought that was an interesting case. Not necessarily true crime. Maybe so, because you got to be dumb as shit to decide to go under the ocean in a vessel like that. But hey,
right.
What do I know? I've looked a lot at the Gilgo Beach or the Long Island serial killer. I was looking into that a good bit. I read that 32-page deposition that they put out, and man, at least for those 4 murders that the 3 that they've charged him with, and then the 4th that they're trying to charge him with, I think he's dead to rights. I think that he is probably going to end up being charged with about 10 more. And if after they did all the search of his house and that storage unit down the road,
oh man, all the guns.
Yeah, if they find anything there, he's done. Like he's going to get charged with. I think there's like 14 murders that are like 14 or 15 that are thought to be connected with the Long Island serial killer, and I think that he probably did at least most of them. Interesting. Who else has a bunch of burner phones that are all attached to their number and all these messages going back and forth between all the victims?
And escorts and him just happened to, be there.
Yeah, and his wife's hair on several of the victims. Like, how does that happen? Like,
and if correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, but I believe they're writing that up as transfer DNA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not really suspecting her involved in it. It's just, hey, he lived whether I get my wife's hair all over me, at times. It's all over the place, dog hair, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I know what they were trying to determine is whether he took several of them to the house and killed them there in the basement. So I know that they were looking at that to see if that was the case. If that's the case, I mean, it's obvious why they would find her hair on it because she lived in the house. So it may have been transfer from the car. It may have been transfer for him himself, or he may have done it in the house while she was away on some trip or something. So it's hard to say. I mean, Christ,
they excavated his yard. Am I thinking of the right case? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Did they find anything out, Bobby? Do you know if they found anything out?
As far as I know, no.
Yeah, I don't think they've released anything yet. They're trying to keep it pretty close because they're still trying to get him charged with all the other murders. So I don't believe they'll release any of that until they have some solid evidence.
Right.
The other one that's been in the news lately that I've been following is Dennis Rader, BTK. They're saying that he may have kidnapped 2 additional people, and they just dug up his former property again, and apparently they found some evidence there of these 2 women. I don't know where one of them was from. The one was from Oklahoma, and I know a bunch of people online were busy talking and saying that, maybe they're trying to charge him in Oklahoma because they have the death penalty in Oklahoma, but he has immunity from Oklahoma. So for this case, so he's not, no matter what, he's not going to get the death penalty. But it'd be interesting to see what Dennis has to say about it because he's denied it before, and now they've found evidence on the property. So, maybe he'll spill the beans. I don't know. Dennis is pretty narcissistic, so I would expect that if he knows anything, that he'll start talking.
Have you heard this, Bobby? The Dennis Rader thing?
No, I think I've seen a headline or something somewhere, but haven't followed up on it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that's news to me. That's crazy, man.
That's been in the last 2 weeks. They just did that, I think 2 weeks ago, and so.
Interesting. One case that Bobby years ago brought to my attention was the Delphi. I'd like to get your thoughts on the Delphi case. And first and foremost, as we said numerous times, because Delphi is only about 4 hours west. And the bridge guy, that's just a dumb name. And I think you'll agree with me and with Bobby on this. We've said that's just not a very good name for someone who did such heinous things to these 2 little girls. You know, I mean, you
Dude.
had Zodiac, Jack the Ripper, you know, BTK. And
We
you had
should rename him
Graveyard.
right here. He needs to be
What's
called
that?
the Troll.
Yeah. Well, originally
Yeah.
they had called it the Snapchat killings.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I think is better.
Yeah, no, that was way better. That was because if you're trying to, you
Yeah.
know, bring light to a particular shitbag, as we like to call them,
Yeah.
Bridge Guy is not a very you know, I mean, yeah, I guess we make light of it, you know, but definitely not making light of the lives lost. What was your thoughts on that? Because we followed it for, yeah, like I said, quite some time.
Yeah, I think obviously he's now confessed a number of times, right?
Yes.
Confessed to his wife, confessed to some other people. And
even like the prosecutors, I mean, he went all out and just
Yeah.
told everyone.
yeah, so it reminds me of Gacy, right? You know, Gacy did the same thing. He admitted to it like 5 different times. And then after that, he sat there in his cell, he thought about it, and he figured out a way that he could say, well, it wasn't me. You know, I was just running a cemetery, right? All this bullshit. But the night that he was arrested, he copped to it. So, you know, I have a hard time believing, again, that Gacy wasn't guilty, because he was, obviously. And the same thing for this guy. I think I don't think it had anything to do with his conditions in prison, and you know that because he wasn't eating and he was under mental duress, that he said all these things. I think he said it because he fucking did it, and I think he ought to go down for it. You know, of course, I've never been in that situation before where I've got all this pressure, but I feel like that I'm pretty strong-minded, and if I didn't do it, I'm going to say that I didn't do it from now until eternity. There's never going to be a time where I'm going to be like, you know what? Maybe I did drag those 2 little girls down there and kill them. Maybe.
Right.
You know, no, I don't think I'm ever going to say that if I'm innocent.
Right.
So, you know, and when you look at other cases like Stephen Avery, right, and you have his nephew who says all this stuff. That kid, number one, I can't remember his name right now. Brendan Dassey was his name. So, you know, this kid is low functioning to begin with, right? And the cops just beat the hell out of this kid for like 12, 16 hours. No food, no break. They just go after him. Well, this kid doesn't have a strong mind to begin with. So of course he's going to be led in whatever direction you want to. Now, I'm not saying that Stephen Avery was innocent. I don't know that. I think there's a compelling case for him being innocent again, because I think, God, you got to be dumb as shit to already know that the police are on your ass and want you in prison, and you have a lawsuit against them for, you know, $41 million or something. You got to know that they're not going to pay you, and they're going to find every reason they can to throw your ass back in jail. Now, who, under that pressure, decides to go and murder somebody while everybody's watching? You got to be dumb as shit to do that.
Right. You would think, I mean, if somebody's going to take and do something like that, they're obvious, you know, there has to be an element of just being delusional. I mean, you're not going to, you know, you just pour gasoline on the fire. All eyes are on you.
And I mean, some of them are like that, right? Like,
no, exactly. No, there are some that will do that. Will put themselves in what I guess you could say normal people would think is just crazy. You know, for instance, why does his name slip my mind? Damn it. Tall, big.
Oh, my Kemper?
Kemper, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that slipped my mind, but he used to go to the police bar.
Yeah.
You know, after killing people, he'd walk in there just to, you know, he was considered like just a nuisance to the cops. They never, you know, they're like, oh, this guy's just nosy, you
Yeah.
know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they'll put themselves in situations that people like us are like, are you stupid? If you're trying to, you know, get away with this, this is not the avenue to travel down.
Well, I don't know. For Kemper, it was really smart. You know, Kemper did that because he was intelligent and he
Yeah.
was trying to figure out what the cops had on him. He
No,
wanted
no,
to hear,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, like now somebody who I would give a good example of is Bundy, right? Bundy escapes from jail. Where does he go? He goes to fucking Florida and goes and kills a bunch of people in a sorority house, right? You just escaped from jail. Like, why would you go and do that? But for Bundy, it was because he was compulsive and he would never have ever been able to control himself for very long. He was going to go and kill at any opportunity he got. It doesn't. I don't think that Stephen Avery is the same kind of person. I don't think that he is compulsive like that because he never acted that way when he was in prison, right? You know, some of these people that are like legitimate serial killers, they can't stop. They're going to continue doing it no matter what. You know, they may find other methods because once they get a taste for it, there isn't anything else that fulfills the fantasy, right? I do a lot of talks on serial killer psychology, so I talk about this a lot. But you know, there is for what does he call it? It's not the psychology of serial killers, but is shit. I can't think of the word that he uses. Anyway, a buddy of mine, Steve Gianangelo, literally wrote the book on this. And, you know, his ideas about people who kill in a serial fashion, right, are different from somebody who gets pissed off and walks in on their wife, you know, sleeping with somebody else and kills everybody there, right? That crime of passion is very, very different from somebody who has a fantasy about killing people and then needs to cross over. Kemper is a good example of that. Kemper was somebody who picked up women for years, right? Didn't kill them and kept getting himself to a place where he got a little bit more. Like he'd bring a knife with him. The next time he'd pull it out and show it to him. He would, you know, pull out his gun. He would bring a gun that wasn't loaded. And then he got to a place where he loaded the gun. And he says in one of the interviews, he was like, well, what has to happen next? Well, you got to shoot somebody, right? So he did that. You know, so it was a progression for him in fulfilling these fantasies that he had. And for him, it was never going to stop. And he knew it. But he also knew, and I think Kemper was smart enough to understand this, that he killed his grandparents and went to the insane asylum. He knew as soon as he killed his mom that they were going to find him and he was going to jail for the rest of his life. So he ran at first, like he ran, I think, to Texas or Florida or some shit. And then he actually called the police from there. And he did that because I think he knew that it was just a matter of time before he ended up in jail. He's like 6'11". Where the hell are you going to go?
Yeah, where
you're
are
a
you going to
giant
hide?
person. They're going to find you. So
Yeah.
I think he was smart enough to know that the jig was up once he killed his mom. But ultimately, that's what he had to do to satisfy the fantasy. And even that didn't stop it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The you know, his mom was really the catalyst, you know, mentally that really kind of pushed him, I think, down the direction, down that road. And because once he took care of that, which was seemed to be his main, you know, issue, once he took care of his mom, yep, boom, I'm done. You know, I've often said in a, I guess, kind of a morbid way, if he'd have just killed his mom first, maybe a lot of these other women, you know, would still be with us.
Yeah, for sure. You know,
Go ahead, Bobby.
I'm seeing we might come to see a lot more in common between like Edmund Kemper and the Gilgo Beach guy moving forward. they're both very tall, very big guys. They're both, murderers, obviously. I'm interested in seeing how that turns out and what more comes out about that. But what do you think about the Delphi, the rich guy, the Richard Allen, being in his late 40s? I'm interested in seeing if he's got anything else under his belt, as far as like a serial killer possibly, or
Right.
maybe this was his first time. I'm still interested in seeing whether or not he was like trolling them online, or if he knew they were going to be there. There's still a lot to come out about that.
Wasn't there, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there some kidnapping or murders that was in an Indiana college not far from Delphi?
I do remember what was the Indiana University ones. And then there was also the Jordan Sofer case there in Peru. There was a few.
I don't know that.
I'm really interested in seeing where it goes.
Yeah, I'm just curious if they'll be able to take. There obviously, I think, had to been some sort of trolling.
Yeah.
The other guy, catfishing. What was the other guy they were looking at? The big guy, didn't he get
Keegan Kline? Yeah,
Keegan Kline. He got like 40 some years.
3 years or something.
For like child pornography and things like that, and he was kind of thought to be involved as well. Like he was somehow, I don't know, a middleman, or because he was the one using that one,
shots
that different the shots guy. Yeah, he was using that profile to kind of catfish these younger girls in, and they thought that maybe him and Richard Allen were maybe kind of a team, and he goes and gets them. Richard does, while Keegan Kline is catfishing him in. Yeah, there is. There a lot of these cases, just because I think people don't understand, they got somebody, in custody. They have their man, blah, blah, blah. It's not over. I mean, this is when it really gets interesting. Because you start having, like Delphi, it took all that time, and then bam, they start releasing, to the public these different documents. They did the same thing with the Idaho. Didn't they do that with him too? Did they just release some stuff on him? Yeah. So,
I haven't seen the newest.
Yeah, I haven't looked for at any updates here of late. I've been terribly busy. But
I'll tell you what's fascinating about that is that it was a podcast that got them to release the information on the Delphi, because they had those files sealed. And it was, I forget which podcast it was, but they were petitioning the court.
The murder sheet.
Yeah. They were petitioning them to get them to release that information, and the judge finally decided to do that. So I think it's fascinating that, in a small setting like this, that the general public often can sway opinion and get other people to listen and to do things. I think that's important going forward. Of course, we see some bullshit come from that too. Like when you look at the Elisa Lam case and all the crazy conspiracy theories that were online, you're going to have that too. But, when people get it right, sometimes they get it right. And it's important for different organizations to listen, because we're not all dumbasses out here. We all don't believe that, the aliens are coming down to take us all away, so, there are some intelligent people that are out there that have some interesting insight, and it's great that we have all these networks that can do all that. I think it's an amazing time.
Well, let's jump into some fun Lisa Lam discussion. What's your thoughts on Lisa Lam? Come on, I'm not letting you go that easy. I got to hear what you think happened there, man.
So here's what I think. I think if the lid was on that tank, then somebody had to have done it, and somebody murdered her. I think if the lid was not on the tank, then she did it herself, and she was out of her mind and drowned. I think it all is determined upon that lid, because if she was down in there swimming or whatever she thought she was doing, there's no way that she could have gotten out of there to put the lid back on. Like, she was done as soon as she got in there. So I think it really is determined on what you believe about that lid. And whether you believe that the cops took it off when they got there, if it was off already. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think anybody will ever know the answer to that. But I think, that is the determining factor in that case. Clearly, she was off her medication and was having some kind of hallucinations. Whatever it was, I don't think it was. And let me say this, because I'm a believer in the paranormal, right? I do paranormal investigations and shit. So, like, I believe that stuff. Do I believe that what she was doing in the elevator was paranormal? No. I think she was off her medication, and I think that she was in a really, really bad place. So I think that is part of it. Does that mean that somebody didn't take advantage of that and murder her? No, absolutely. That's not what that means. Somebody could have. They could have picked her up in a bar and decided this chick was crazy, did what they wanted, and killed her. I don't know that. But, again, it's all determined about that lid. If it was there, if it was on top of it, somebody had to have put it back there after she was down in there.
Yeah, she's not going to get in there and remove the lid. Bobby to Trill. What are the Trillist thoughts that you have on the Lisa Lamb?
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
I know I haven't.
No, I was gigged out when I first saw the elevator footage. When I first saw, that's the first thing I ever saw about that case. Somebody showed me that. Mm-hmm. It's like, what do you think she's doing? I said, my first reaction was she's probably, doesn't have her psych meds or something. Mm-hmm. That was my first reaction, or sleepwalking or something like that. Some sleep paralysis, like with sleepwalking or something. I don't know. I would say it's probably what it is. Seeing as her own family kind of shut the door on the case so quick, like they knew her, and she wasn't on the medications that she should have been taking. That's probably the route I would say take.
Yeah, because I think all the conspiracies come about with all that I've heard was with that elevator footage.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head, Jeff. That hatch on top of that tank, that is the smoking gun. Whether it was on there when they found it, like you said, somebody had to have murdered her. But yeah, a lot of the conspiracy came about with the elevator footage. I even heard people go as far as like invisible cloaks.
Yeah, I saw the one
invisibility, and that's who she's seeing. And
well, they had that whole theory that the CIA or something was doing something and poisoning all these people, and she was part of this project. And I'm like, get the hell out of here! Like, what are we talking about? It's wild.
Yeah, there was one. It was like a project she was working called the Lamb Elisa or some. It was like her name backwards or something. You were going to say something, Bobby?
Yeah, I think that was part of. That's what they said. The tuberculosis test was called or something, and that tuberculosis was going around or something like that. But one great thing that did come out of that Elisa Lamb case was we saw, like, she was in the elevator and people were wondering, well, why isn't the elevator closing? Could somebody out there have a key keeping it from closing? Well, the great thing about the Elisa Lamb case is, for one of the first times, a bunch of people got together and actually did go to the place. They did the elevator rides. They tried to find out whether or not it would open or close. People got hands on. People were going and staying in her room, and walking up to the roof and stuff like that. It really made it interesting. People were trying to get involved in it.
Yeah.
And who knows what happened? I don't know.
That was the Cecil. Is that right?
Yeah, the Cecil Hotel.
Yes, okay. And that hotel, I mean, just has some like crazy history.
Ramirez being there and everything.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of bad shit happening because it's right down there in Skid Row.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just flooded with any kind of drug you can get your hands on. I mean, just the lowest of low are the patrons there. So you're gonna have bad shit happen. That's an interesting case. What's one for you, Bobby? Come on, give us one. We got a couple minutes left.
As of late, man, I'm still caught up on the very first ones I ever did. The Jack the Ripper. I'm always still caught up on that one.
Yeah, that is
I love that
one,
one.
man.
My
I don't
favorite.
think people really understand the magnitude of that. This is the, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest unsolved case out there.
It's the one that got me interested.
Me too.
So, like, I started out watching. There's a lot of stuff that got me interested in true crime, but when I really started diving into it, it was Jack the Ripper, and it was because of that movie. What's his name? Shit, I'm terrible with. I can remember just about every fucking killer, but when it comes to like actors and actresses, fucking forget it. What the hell is his name? He played Jack Sparrow. What is his name?
Oh, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. When he played Abeline in, I can't remember what the name of the movie is either. I have it sitting up on the shelf.
From Hell.
Yeah, From Hell. Dude, that movie is so good. It goes off on its own weird kind of conspiracy, but it's interesting in some of the things that it talks about and the graphic nature of how they show some of the crimes. But, Jack the Ripper is always going to be a fascinating case because it's unsolved. They're never going to figure out who it was. I do not believe it was H.H. Holmes. I'm also a huge H.H. Holmes fan. I think that case is incredibly interesting. Matter of fact, directly behind the camera right now, I have my ticket to the 1893 World's Fair, which was the World's Fair where Jack the Ripper was, or not Jack the Ripper, where H.H. Holmes had the murder castle.
You think it was H.H. Holmes?
I do not. No matter what Jeff Mudgett says, I do not believe that it was H.H. Holmes. And I'll tell you why. The type of murder that H.H. Holmes did is completely different from the frenzy killing that Jack the Ripper did. It is very, very, very few times that killers change the way that they kill. And they may kill the people and the population that they target, but their killing style is almost always the same, right? Because for them, it's a ritual. So, somebody who was killing for profit, like H.H. Holmes was, is not, and was very hands-off, is not ever going to go and carve somebody up the way that Jack the Ripper did. It's a completely different way of killing. One wanted hands-off, the other one wanted to get up close and personal, and obviously had an issue with prostitutes in Whitechapel. So, very, very different. So, yeah, psychologically, I have issues with them being the same person.
Yeah, and Bobby, your thinking is that, with Jack the Ripper, if I remember, is more of a multiple people and not just one person.
Yeah, it's where I first started out too. I was 10 years old. My dad used to bring home Jack the Ripper books from work. Yeah, the guy he worked with, and so I got really big in Jack the Ripper. Been on the whole internet spiel with Jack the Ripper since like 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from what I see, it looks to me like there's more than one killer involved, and whether it's people who were dealing in prostitution, like pimps or something like that, or some gang or something like that. It just appears that it would literally take hours to go through it, but yeah, I do. I think it's more than one person.
I think it's interesting because that's now what they're saying that's the latest theory on the Zodiac too, that it was not just one person, and that it may not have been ever one, like there may not have been a Zodiac killer. It may have just been somebody that decided to make a name for themselves off of the killings that were already happening. That maybe they didn't even kill anybody. They were just submitting letters to kind of make it famous. And it's an interesting theory. I will tell you that that there is a book in the future that I'm working on that will talk about a bunch of that.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome, man. Man, thank you so much for. I mean, we could go on for hours, man. Us
Oh
three
yeah.
talking true crime. I mean, it could just go on and on and on. But throw out the website again for anybody that misses this. It goes directly to YouTube. I'll post the link over there on the Book of Faces, and but tell everybody the website again. You can get T-shirts, the game. Tell people where they can get the game, all that good stuff.
Okay, so to get the game and the stuff related with that, go to scorpionlairgames.com. That's the easiest way to get to the game. If you want to check out all of the links that we have, and like I said, I need to change one of them, go to Linktree /Killers TCG. That'll get you to everything that we have. And then there's one more link, and we didn't really talk about this, but I'll mention it now. Go to theprofilergame.com. That is the newest game that I'm working on that'll probably come out in about 6 months. It is a social deduction game that I've been working on for the last several months. And we're pretty far along in it now. I've got a guy that's working on some of the writing, but it's a game for a large group of people, 6 to 15 people.
Wow.
You get 60 minutes. Your goal is either to find the killer or get killed. So you got to win the game. The townspeople have to figure out who the killer is, and they have to figure out what type of killer they are. And killers may be plural, depending on how many people you're playing with. The killer just has to last 60 minutes or kill everybody else that's there. So very social deduction. You're going to be investigating crime scenes, trying to pick up on evidence, trying to figure it out from the toxicology reports, the police reports, the medical examiner reports, and trying to deduce who the killer is and catch them before they kill everybody.
Shit, that sounds fun as hell.
Oh, yeah,
I got all kinds of shit coming.
Absolutely amazing, man. I mean, because there's not any games like this that really capture a certain, genre or, like that. Of course I have Cards Against Humanity. I have, a horror trivia game. I have the Alice Cooper box, which is just like Cards Against Humanity, but with a horror macabre, theme. The killers and that the profiler, that's going to be a good one. I dig things like that because we've been trying to do game nights here recently with my kids. They're all grown out of the house, thank God. But we have them over and friends over and do card game or game nights, and I would love to add both of them to my collection. So I guess you're gonna be having a Kickstarter campaign for the profiler.
Yeah, the profiler. I will tell you this: the profiler will be the big game that puts Scorpion Lair Games on the map. Killers has been really good. Since we've been in business a little over 2 years, we've sold over 2,000 units, which has been great. But the profiler, because we're not going to go so heavy on, the serial killers themselves.
Mhm.
We are going to start out by releasing it internationally. So it's going to come out in French and German. I've already been talking to some people to distribute in the UK and in Europe. And once we do that, it is going to be everywhere. That's the plan. That one's going to be the big one. It has mass appeal. People that want to get into criminal profiling, like I've been talking to Catherine Ramsland, and I've got a friend of mine who also does games too. She's got an awesome Titanic game, and she has a game that's getting ready to come out called it's Lizzie Borden's Ghost. So it's a Lizzie Borden game that she's working on. But she was also worked with the FBI as doing some profiling and stuff. Judith Yates, she's written a bunch of books on true crime and everything, and so she's one of the people kind of helping me out. and having conversations with me so that we make the game as authentic as possible, so that you could really, really dig into it. So,
That's
but
awesome.
with everything I do, I want to make it as authentic as I possibly can, because I think it's important. So,
Sure. Oh, no, absolutely. I agree. I agree 1,000%, man. Jeff, it was a pleasure chatting with you, my friend. Um,
absolutely.
and yeah, definitely. Hey, we'll have to hook up sometime. We're probably only about an hour or so away.
Yeah,
We'll have
yeah, for
to
sure.
hook up sometime. I don't know, man. Maybe a local con comes around or something.
I'm gonna tell you, in October, I will be up there in the area. I've got a buddy of mine who's getting married just outside of Springfield.
No.
So
Okay.
it is, I want to say October 14th, I believe. So there might be some opportunity to swing by and say, hey.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's funny because I have a friend of mine who's getting married on the 13th of October.
Oh wow, I'll have to look.
Guys.
I don't remember if it's the 13th or the 14th. We might be talking about the same person.
Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be funny.
We both end up at her at her wedding.
That's funny.
Oh man, but yeah, just hey, hang tight, man. Don't hang up, Clay, yet. I'm just gonna throw you back in what they call the StreamYard green room and end this bad boy, and then I'll come right back and we'll say bye off
Sounds
air.
good.
So hang tight, buddy. Man, I like that profiler game, dude.
Yeah, sounds good. I want to play.
I want to play like right now.
Yeah, I would totally play it right now.
Yeah,
100%.
no, that sounds that's right up my alley.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I watch a lot of like true crime and forensics, and because I'm thinking, like trying to find these shit bags with them.
Right on.
Well, Bobby Two
Stop.
Trill.
Yep.
It was he said, "Yep, boy, the trillness is in full effect."
Untrillable.
Untrillable. Unbetrillable.
It is.
Well, hey, we'll get back into looking at some cases possibly next week, and yeah, we'll go and we'll find something for you guys. Thank you guys for joining, and again, thank you, Jeff, for joining us. So, hey, man, have a great Monday.